Teddy Wang here in Tainan, Taiwan. We're gonna be eating luo si fen. So we got this incredible bowl right here of noodles. Snail noodles, look at that. Beautiful, right? And we got some of these things here. I don't know what this is. I think it's like fried pork feet. I mean, let's try the fried pork feet first. Crazy. Incredibly good. Wow. All right. Oh yeah. Light-skinned Asians versus dark-skinned Asians. You know, this is a hot topic right now on social media. People are talking about like whether or not it is, you know, racist and wrong for lighter-skinned Asians to see darker-skinned Asians in a certain way. And I think that is a huge conversation right now happening. Now, at the end of the day, we're all Asian. If I tan, I'm still Asian. I'm East Asian, I'm lighter skinned usually, but like when I'm out in the sun and I get a tan, dude, that doesn't make me a dark skinned Asian. But like, I don't see what the problem is, because we grew up with everybody, right? Like, light skin, dark skin, it didn't matter. You know, you were not judged by the color of your skin. You were judged by, you know, the content of your character. But I do understand why lighter-skinned Asians would automatically assume upon sight what they assume about darker-skinned Asians. Because, you know, having been to Hong Kong, having lived in Taiwan for so long, you know, you do see a subset of how people are treated, but it's not only that. Like, if you're good looking but dark skinned, you still get treated like really well, you know. Try this. So good. Wow, this is amazing. This is like pig's foot or something, but like the skin is fried. Wow. That is incredible. Good Lord. Amazing. That bamboo goes really well with that. I mean, mainly, this beef is like an online beef, but like, I don't see, I mean, I understand both sides. You know, like, it's not fair to be treated worse if you have dark skin. Because, you know, what if you're a good person and it just so happens that your skin is like super dark and you're Asian? There's a lot of maids and not hospital, but nurses who go to people's houses and who are from the Philippines and Indonesia, and they tend to have darker skins. But it's not just the darker skin. You have a lot of Vietnamese people here too. A lot of Vietnamese females. And there's like an ongoing thing in Taiwan where they say like, oh, you know, if you cannot get a girl who's Taiwanese, you will settle for a Vietnamese girl who you know, I don't know how you got her from Vietnam over here, but that's also a conversation. And the Vietnamese girls that come over here to become brides of Taiwanese people, I don't think they're dark, man. I think they're pretty light. Like, they're light skinned, right? So it's not just about the skin, it's about like the country of origin. So there is like a hierarchy, right? Where like, you have like, they call it the S tier. I'm not saying that's what I think. I think everyone's equal. I think everyone's S tier. If you're a human being, then you're S tier. But I think that how people sort it out is that S tier East Asian countries are like Japan, Korea, and like part of China, and Hong Kong, and Singapore. And then like the A tier, would be like Taiwan, Malaysia, and then the rest of the tiers are under that, But that's not the way I think, but I think a lot of Asians think that way who, and I'm not saying all, but like a lot of Asians who kind of have a perception of skin color and class, depending on location in Asia, will tend to think, all right? Oh, that was good. Man, these noodles are really chewy, man. Awesome. At the end of the day, man, we're all Asian, we're all humans. It doesn't matter. Born and raised in the USA, all the Asians hung out. All the Asians hung out together, right? Plano, Texas, all right? Born and raised. We had no issues with each other. And I noticed when there were not a lot of population of each East Asian race, they all tended to hang out together. And then as more population was added to each of the Asian races in a community of a city, they tended to diverge and split apart the bigger each population of each East Asian group got, right? So let's have another bite of this. Dude, I was just bitten by a mosquito, man, on my leg. I slapped it and it died. And like, dude, there was blood on my pants. And the crazy thing is, the mosquito, it stuck its nose into my pants, like through my pants and bit my leg. Like, how is that possible, bro? It's like, how long is your snout? You know what I'm saying? Out of control. All right, got another bite. Oh. Very crunchy. It's amazing, dude. What a bowl of noodles, bro. So, in Taiwan, a lot of construction workers have dark skin. And so, if you have dark skin, people automatically assume you have no money because then why are you in construction? A lot of people who stand on the garbage trucks that toss your garbage every week have dark skin. So, but it's not all about you having little money and being poor, because some of those people probably make a lot of money, doing dangerous jobs. But even though they're high paying, they're considered low quality jobs and stinky jobs, like people from the low class do those jobs. But hey, I think everyone's equal. I'm just saying how society as a whole who care about this stuff perceive this stuff. And the office workers tend to have lighter skin because they probably get less sun, right? And also, if you are, again, a lot of the people who work in homes of rich families in Taiwan, you know, who are nannies or who are caretakers or who are babysitters. If they come from another country, they tend to be Southeast Asian from, again, Indonesia and the Philippines, right? That's what it is. So, if you have dark skin and your features are ambiguous, then you probably got a tan. But the fact that you got or have dark skin, they may think less of you because they think you are either working a low-class job or you are working a low-class job that pays a lot. And whether or not you get paid a lot, it's still considered a low-class job. Or number three, you know, you probably work in someone's house as, you know, some type of, you know, full-time or part-time nanny, nurse situation, right? Wow. Amazing. And these airplanes are flying a lot today, bro. Woo. No. One thing I love about snail noodles, it's that soup, that broth. It really hits you, man. It's got that fermented smell, that bamboo, all the spices, and you got all these little vegetables and little garnishes. Incredible dish. Dude, I just got bitten again by a mosquito, dude. My second one. Crazy. Taiwan, if you're not ready to get bitten by mosquitoes, then you should probably not come over here. I mean, the mountains, it's a lot better up there because there's higher elevation. You get less mosquitoes in the mountains, higher up. But man, ground level, on the beach, by the beach, dude, they're everywhere. Whew. It is an island, right? I don't know about this awesome juiciness. Oh God. Oh, it's good. That is so crispy, bro. Amazing. Oh yeah. But if you have dark skin and you tend to be good looking, then I don't think it really matters in Taiwan. I think people only care if they're associated with you and they're around you, and then they might care about image, right? But everyone's created equal under God. Image is really important in Taiwan, man. It's all about image, you know? How you're perceived is like everything here. So getting famous is like a really popular concept here. Everybody here wants to be famous. Everybody here wants to make it. Everyone assumes if you're famous, then you have money. But that's not necessarily true. Look at that. So look at this. I don't know what this is. I mean, I know what it is. I've eaten it a lot. I just don't know what the name is, you know? Really crunchy. Amazing. You know, as long as you're healthy, because some people get tanned, like me, I get tanned a lot, but like, you don't want to hurt your body, right? If you're in the sun too long, you get tanned, your skin can go through some conditions, and there's a lot of healthy, dark-skinned people. Even the Aboriginals in Taiwan have dark skin, right? You know, the Yuan Tu Ming here. And I mean, there's a lot of possibly wealthy, you know, or non-wealthy, everything in between, just like Taiwanese. And the Yuan Tu Ming, the Aboriginals, they look very much like the Filipinos and the Native Americans in the USA. Like, they all look kind of similar in terms of skin color, in terms of just facial features. But I don't know any deeper than that what their similarities are. I just noticed that Hawaiians, Samoans, Taiwanese Aboriginals, Native Americans, like there's some kind of similarity there that I can't quite pinpoint. But you know, as long as you're healthy, I think it's fine to be dark. Like, and you should never let your skin color determine your future. Never let what you look like hinder you and drag down your potential. Because there is an infinite amount of excuses you can make. And those excuses are brand new every day. You can just make up new problems, blame new people inside and outside of yourself and of your control. And it's not necessary to hinder yourself by blaming blaming yourself, blaming others, blaming this or that thing. Just always put the blame on yourself and then take responsibility and then move on. That's what I think. And it's good. Oh, wow. All right. That is good. Holy crap. That skin is amazing. Look at that bamboo. You know, speaking of health, everyone has a lot of problems, right? They blame everything and everyone. Everyone has a lot of problems until they have a health problem. And then after that, you only have one problem. I mean, it's an old saying, you know? Each person, yourself included, have endless problems and things to deal with every day. But once your health becomes an issue, the only thing you have to focus on and deal with is your health. Because without your health, all the other problems don't matter because you will not be alive to experience those problems. Oh yeah. Wow. That's good. Holy crap. Comes right off the bone, man. Wow. All I have to say is wow. the tendon. That is chewy. And so right now, I'm going through some health issues, I think. So I am trying to change my diet. I'm trying to adjust my methods of suppressing my hunger, just so that I don't eat as much and as often. Because I think that's like the issue. Is like the poison is in the dose. You should try to eat as little as possible in as little of a time frame as possible, and leave as much time as possible in between when you eat. That tends to be the secret, I think, for a lot of people. Eating the right things in a short amount of time and leaving a lot of time between this time and next time. You gotta slurp it, bro. Getting it all on my face. Wipe that off. Let's go. Get those vegetables, peanuts. Oh yeah. So in Taiwan, I think for the most part, everyone is very respectful. It is a very like outward appearance leaning environment where they really care about good grades, what school you went to, where you work at, how high of a position you are in that company, how much money you make, how much retirement benefits you make, how much money you make from the stocks, how much. Very money oriented, self-oriented society, but it's also very family-oriented, which I think is awesome. But what becomes an issue is if like you are very money-oriented and you're family-oriented, and then you also really care about your appearance, and then it's all about like, well, a lot of people brag, to their friends. Like, oh, my son is making this much at this company, graduated from this school, and now he's friends with this person who's making this much and who went to that school and who's been on this magazine cover. And that's an issue, because then it becomes like an issue of vanity, right? And trying to look good to people that you don't necessarily like or respect or want to be around. That's an issue. Let's drink that. Oh, that soup is wild. All right, let's have another bite of this. All right, good stuff. And so one of my resolutions this year is to fast more, have a healthier diet. So trying to reduce carbs, but I love carbs. Trying to eat more protein, eat more animal fats, and trying to kind of do at least 16 hours of fasting a day, if not more. I used to do like 30 or 40 something hour fasts. It's harder now. I don't know why. Maybe it's my hormones have changed at 42 years old. Maybe my fat distribution has become more difficult to handle and manage and deal with. Maybe it's more dangerous in that sense, where the fat is distributed. Maybe my hormones are now an enemy of mine. So it's like, hey, I have to work on that. That's probably the biggest issue I have right now regarding my health and also regarding everything else in my life. I think the health is perhaps my focal issue. So I'm always trying to educate myself. YouTube Premium is a really good way. Audible is a great way. I mean, and there's so many great people and advice you can listen to. But if you take the wrong advice, you could die. Because you can be really serious about it, and that person's advice might be really good, but might not apply to you because of your DNA. And then what do? You take the advice, that was meant for a lion, but a gazelle is taking it. Maybe not a good idea, All right, let's finish this up. Suck the meat off of that. Hold on. Oh yeah, amazing. There's so many gurus these days, and each one swears they have the recipe and the elixir of life. They swear they have the remedy to heal all your wounds. But honestly, each person is different, man. Everything in moderation. Take advice, but apply it little by little. Don't just go ahead, jump headfirst in if it's going to harm you in the long term. But if you do it like a little by little, you might get harmed, but just a little bit, and it's like better for you in the long term, right? Oh yeah, amazing. Let's get the spoon now, because we are almost done with the meal. And let's try that. But yeah, I think the whole East Asian thing with the dark skin, light skin Asian, it's a really entertaining thought. Kind of a silly thought because we're all the same on the inside, right? I will say though, darker skinned Asians tend to have better abilities in certain things, such as music, dance, singing, any talent in the arts, also sports as well. Like the Aboriginals in Taiwan and the Filipinos. You see a lot of b-boys, singers, rappers. But I'll be honest, if you look at it from like the big picture, they all tend to have talented people in those areas. But it's kind of a stereotype here, I guess, or in Asia, where it's like, oh, if you have darker skin, you probably can do singing and dancing and the arts better, than those who are not that skin color, or you tend to be better at math and physics and the sciences and technology if you have lighter skin. I don't make the rules, man. I'm observing how people see things here, How about that? All right. Almost done here. Wow. What an amazing way to start the day, with a nice bowl of noodles. And then, you have to zoom out into this bigger picture of like the whole world. If you have lighter skin, they tend to treat you a certain way. If you have darker skin, and you cannot control how people react. You cannot force them to perceive you or see you in a certain light, a way in which you see the world. Everyone's different. I just say a lot of people tend to have preconceived notions of what kind of thoughts you'd have, what you'd say and do, what kind of skills you have, or talents, or types of creativity, just based on your skin color. And also, if you have better facial features and bone structures, they'll tend to think highly of you too. And you're taller, you're more muscular, you have a better frame, they'll look up to you and they'll see, oh wow, think this guy is, wealthy and has potential to do great things, is smart, successful, rich, social skills, common sense. And it's funny how we perceive people based on their appearances, but we cannot blame those who do judge by appearances, because that is how we learned how to survive throughout the years, is by seeing a situation and a group of people with a certain skin color or culture, and we practice self-preservation. I'm not saying it's right to voice it out or to make it obvious through our external facial expressions and body language how we feel about a certain race of people, or from a specific culture, or even from a specific religion. And I think that's good to keep that to yourself. Don't tell anyone how you really think of their race, their culture, their religion, because people take these things very personally, and they do not separate, differentiate, parse out who they are inside, in their deepest core, in their spiritual cellular level. They don't separate that from how they look. They will combine it. And so people think, hey, I am my religion, or I am my culture, I am my race. And then when you do that, and then you feel like someone is hating on you for those things, then you will become very defensive, because they are attacking you at a cellular level. What are you gonna do about that? If you think like that already, then it has become your identity. And then you let that hold you back from being successful in certain areas of your life. Oh yeah, this soup is awesome. Oh Lord, have mercy. Woo. Oh yeah. How I see it, I try to treat everyone equally with respect, no matter how much money, success, power, no matter how poor you are. I think behavior is not a class issue, but an upbringing issue and a DNA issue. And if it's an upbringing issue, then it's something you can control. But if it's a DNA issue, then that's a bit harder, because not everyone is mentally there and stable and can actually connect with you mentally. Some people behave in these really weird ways, that make you cringe, and you need to stay away from those people, because you don't get along with those people, and that's okay. There are people who will get along with them, or if not, then that is their burden to bear, and they have to deal with not being easy to get along with, and might tend to be a loner or become one. And that's fine. That's their burden to deal with. We all have our burdens. Our personalities make us and they break us at the same time. So we are where we are because of how we behave. The decisions and actions we take add up every millisecond of the day, of every week, of every month, year, decade, and it becomes the story of our lives. There are habits that I know I have that are really bad, and I'm trying to break. And there are habits that I have that I do not know that I have, that I do not know to break. And I think everybody has that problems they see within their non-blind side, and then problems they have within their blind side that they have no way of changing because they don't even know it's a problem. They don't even know it's there. And so, what do we do from here? You know, we kind of chug through life and we do the best we can with what we have. And we try to be as happy and healthy as we can in our minds and in our bodies. We try not to make as much of the decisions we see others make that are bad. We try to learn from others' mistakes as well as our own, as well as the mistakes that others tell us they made. And I am full. I have nothing left in my stomach to eat. And I look at this country and I look at this world, and I see that the main conflicts are differentiations of similarities, and how no matter how much we solve racism or sexism or or bigotry, no matter how much we solve them, we're always going to have problems and trouble equally to the ones we have now. And it's going to look and feel like equal problems at the level they're at, which is kind of funny because we think that we can make the world a better place if we solve racism and bigotry, but you're just changing one problem with another. And I think you need to see that. I need to see that more. And try not to think that we're making the world a better place if we are solving more problems, because we're not. And that is the nature of humanity, is that we will always have a problem to solve, and if we don't, then we will create one. And I think humanity thrives on problems and on solving them. And that is what makes life worth living for people, which I don't understand. Because they want to do something, they want to change the world, right? Why? Because they want to solve a problem, but they don't know that if they solve that problem, then they're just changing one problem for another one that is equal to the one they just solved. And one of the problems that I see that is really huge is this issue of immigration. And how you say, oh yeah, this country was bombed, that's why all their citizens are in your country, but the cultures don't mix. And the same people are being sent to other countries that did not bomb those countries that they fled from. So it doesn't make sense. The excuse is not equal, and the excuse is null. It is canceled out because there are people receiving citizens that ran from countries that were bombed by other countries. How is that fair, and why is that? If the reason why you should receive them is because you bombed their country. So legal immigration is the way to go. My parents immigrated to the US legally, okay? And a lot of parents did as well. Some make excuses and say, it's not as easy as you think. Or, the way to immigrate these days is different than before. Or they could say, this is stolen land. So, dude, everything is stolen land. If everything is stolen land, then nothing is considered stealing. So if I see a building over there and I say, oh, you guys stole these from the natives, I'm gonna just take all your stuff and leave because this very land you put that in is not yours. It never belonged to you. It belongs to the people you stole the land from, so I could just steal everything of yours. And it doesn't matter, and it's not considered stealing. But it is, there are laws for that, because the conquering peoples who created the law, and more importantly, who upheld the law through arms and armor, they make the rules. How do you fight a people who you cannot overcome and then complain that they have taken your land, which you cannot take back and have no power to take back? So why are you complaining? So there is no such thing as stolen land. Everything is stolen. Everything is taken from someone else. And if you die, you can't take it with you, so it would never belong to you anyways at all. You were just borrowing it. So this whole conversation of stealing and what is mine, what is yours, really doesn't mean anything. And so it should not be a topic of conversation at all. So immigration is a huge issue because of the cultures that are clashing, that would not clash if cultures that did not and could not assimilate to the host culture just went back to their countries where their culture is mainstream. And that is a big issue right now in a lot of Western countries. And even the East is starting to feel that. And you have to blend in or get out. Because how can you, because otherwise you're just doing illegal things. And you're taking advantage of the kindness of a system of government that took you in. That's been on my mind a lot. And we should always respect the people in whose homes belong to, the hosts of the house. If you're a guest, you respect the host and you respect the furniture you walk into, you see, you respect the other people living in that house, and I think that's the only natural way to behave. So I'm gonna get out of here. It was good talking to you guys, and I hope you had a good day wherever you are. Bye.